But investing in the arts is, depending on which figure you want to use from the Minister's Department, an $8 to $12 return. That's an investment. Man, if I could put my money in a bank and get $12 back for every dollar I put in, we'd all be running to the bank. So why on earth are we not investing to the arts when we know that's the kind of return that we can get? I mean, honestly, cutting the arts for the amount of money that budget is right now is pocket fluff for you guys. You are cutting a couple of $1 million. It's pocket fluff out of a total $37 billion budget. And the effect it has on that sector is devastating because it already works on not very much money. So when you talk investment, there's a lot of places we can invest in this province where our money would make money. And two of them are investing in education and investing in the arts. Thank you for the opportunity to expand on that. Mr. Speaker, Alberta's toxic tailing ponds are now the size of the Sea of Galilee. And the minister has stated that tailings ponds will be reduced in the long term, but the ERCB has already approved plans that do not meet Directive 74's requirements for reducing fine tailings in the ponds, and the timelines for final cleanup are still unknown. So, to the Minister of the Environment, how long is this long term that the minister is talking about? Are we talking 1 generation, 2 generations? Will the grandchildren of today still be looking to deal with tailings ponds?
The Honourable Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I guess my crystal ball isn't quite as clear as hers, and I'm not able to predict the future quite as well as she thinks that I should. Mr. Speaker, this is a technical issue that the answer will derive over time. But I can assure this member, I can absolutely assure this member that we're not talking decades. We are, however, Mr. Speaker, talking in the time frame of years, and we're looking at full implementation of Directive 74 within this decade.
The Honourable Member.
Nice.
No, actually, when you look at all the deadlines, I think it's closer to 30 years. But, Mr. Speaker, industry is innovative, and they have the resources and the minds to make change happen. But the minister is not requiring this of them. So when will the minister bring in targets and standards that push industry to clean up this legacy now?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Alberta Film Advisory Council has AMPIA producers, film commissioners and unions working together to advise the minister. Unfortunately, the minister has not attended even one meeting in the last 2 years, and the MLA position that was on the council was cancelled. After a 3-year consultation, the council developed a business case for the minister. My questions are to the Minister of Culture and Community Spirit. Why has the minister abandoned the 3-year Alberta Film Development business case? What happened to it?
Well, Mr. Speaker, just to clarify one thing, I haven't been invited by the Alberta Film Advisory Committee to a meeting until last week. I will be attending a meeting with them on the 29th of March. I have representatives from my departments that attend those meetings on a regular basis. As far as the business case, it was deemed when we sat down with the film producers and representatives from the guilds and that some of the aspects of the business case weren't relevant and weren't going to go forward. So we have moved on.
The Honourable Member.
Of course you're invited. It's your council. Given that today is the 100th anniversary of International Women's Day, let's do a report card. With less than 10 exceptions, why is it that none of the rest of the government agencies, boards and commissions has enough women appointed to achieve the critical mass necessary for equitable representation?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I got to tell you, I would be the last one to suggest that there was anything about the total respect and equality in my life for women. But I got to say this: these boards and agencies that are mandated to run the different responsibilities they have a job to do first. And while we all need to work in our lives and in government to provide opportunities for women to achieve those goals, it can't come at the expense of the skills that are in that board. Why there are not as many women, I can't tell, Mr. Speaker. Possibly there weren't as many applications, but the fact is this government is very committed to equality.
Honourable Member.
Oh, what a Neanderthal.
With respect, that is utter nonsense. To the same minister. Given that this government has contracted delivery of many services to not-for-profits, which have predominantly female employees, receiving lower pay and fewer benefits than in the public sector, how much has the government closed that wage gap? By how many cents per hour?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I have no idea what the wage gap is and how much it has closed or not closed.
The Honourable Member.
Well, you are the Minister in charge of the Treasury Board. Let me try one more time.
So if there's a question, or I can ask her consideration, encourage very capable women that she knows to put their names forward, and then we can at least deal with their application.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for that, and I will certainly follow through on it, and I will also throw the gauntlet down to the Minister of Finance, because I want him to agree to champion increased appointments of competent, skilled women to government agencies, boards and commissions. He's a well-respected leading member of that front bench. Will he agree to champion this?
Minister.
Do the right thing.
You know
how can I say anything?
Game, butter him up.
Seriously, Mr. Speaker and Honourable Member, absolutely. And not only will I do it, I can guarantee you all of our government will do it, and I know you will help. We all agree on the same thing. Thank you.
These ones, because the law recognizes both of them. So it is discrimination, and this is now making it institutional discrimination against a group of people who, by law, are perfectly entitled to be what they are and should be able to have the same rights and responsibilities and privileges. And again, you know, you may not like it, and I understand that. I know that lots of people are not comfortable with this concept and don't want to see it and don't want to see it for anybody else. I understand that. You still, as legislators, have to write the right law, and this is not what's happening here. We're writing bad law. We're writing challengeable law. We're writing law that can be brought before the courts, and we will lose. And guess what? The taxpayers are going to pay for this, too. So how responsible? I maintain it's not responsible for us to knowingly pass bad law that can and will be challenged in the courts, and that we're forcing our taxpayers to have to pay the bill for somebody being intransigent in the government's philosophy. You may not like it, but it is the law. I think it's irresponsible for us to go, oh, who's ever complaining about that is imagining it. No, they're not. I mean, honestly, the effort you have to go to try and bring something to the attention of government or any politician is enough to make anybody wilt. So any landowner that comes, you know, gets as far as coming to someone in this legislature and saying, I've got a problem with my well, the water, you can light it on fire, we need to be paying serious attention to that. Yeah, if nobody didn't hear the thing about lighting on fire, yeah, it happened. They were here, actually. They brought a sample and lit it on fire for anyone that wanted to go to the rotunda and look at it in Rosebud. Mr. Speaker, it's been months since the Minister of Culture intervened in a panel at the Banff TV Festival to declare that his ministry funded crap. The minister later claimed that he did this to encourage discussion. So to the Minister of Culture. Since the Banff TV Festival is an international forum to pitch projects to buyers, I'm wondering if the minister can answer this skill testing question on whether the comments resulted in more projects or less projects being picked up or shot in Alberta this fall.
The Honourable Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm glad to say that it resulted in more projects being shot here, more opportunities for people to come here and scout in Alberta, because people from Los Angeles, from Europe, from British Columbia and Ontario want to come to a place where we value quality of production over number of productions, Mr. Speaker.
Member.
Sorry, Minister, there was fewer. Given the loss of work for Alberta film and TV workers from 8 crews working in Alberta 5 years ago to 2.5 crews barely working now, and given the exodus of our workers to BC and other provinces, can the minister explain why Alberta is training film and TV workers for our competition in BC? Please explain. Freedom of speech doesn't seem to be a priority for this government. They took down only the anti-nuclear signs in Peace River, and now they are failing to protect the residents of Rocky View County's right to free speech. In January of this year, cease and desist orders were issued by the Town Council to individuals running a website which was critical of the Council's policies. So to the Minister of Municipal Affairs, does the Minister agree with the Canadian Civil Liberties Association's criticism that the Council infringed on the residents' right to free speech?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not familiar with those particular details, and if the member opposite would want to give me more information on that, I would do the research and get back to her.
The Honourable Member.
Well, thank you, and perhaps the Minister at the same time could tell me why nothing was done by the Ministry to protect the rights and the freedoms of those same citizens of